Hey guys, and welcome to another Minecraft video. Now, as some of the observant ones of you have noticed, two things are missing. Well, not missing, but different. The first one is the minimap in the top right-hand corner, which is normally never there because I don't generally use minimaps. And the second thing from my more observant viewers is that there are some blocks that you don't get in any sort of vanilla Minecraft up at this time. We have these, and these. So, those of you who can put those together can get that we are playing modded Minecraft rather than vanilla Minecraft. Now, this is in the tekkit-classic mod pack, which is a very old mod pack. It used to be known as Tekkit before the Technic launcher made a new Tekkit and made this the tekkit-classic. Now, this takes place in roughly 1.2.5, though some of the other varying versions of tekkit-classic take place in slightly different, but it is a very old mod pack. So, what we've gathered here today is to discuss a locking mechanism. Yes, a locking mechanism. Now, some of you who have played tekkit-classic are probably going on, well, I mean, the locking mechanisms are easy. There's, the computer crafted mechanisms, and that's probably what you're thinking of. What I have got here is something that is not that. It is instead an item detector lock. Now, basically what that means is that it uses items as the password. And because there are roughly, 4,000 odd items in Tekkit Classic, you can make your password, 64 billion different combinations thereabouts, which is a pretty large amount. So yeah, let's get right into it. So if we look up, we can just see we have the welcome to AJ Cannon's really cool house. It's totally not trapped or only one room that doesn't even have four walls. But this is more of just a demo house. So shall we just showcase it, I suppose? We've thrown in the code. And you can hear that. And the door opens and then it closes. And then the items eventually make their way into this chest here. This is kind of like, you go into your you're on a server where there's like claim protect or something or other. Um, you can add something to shoot out the items to your friends, so it's almost like like you want to have this really secluded club that only your friends can get into for whatever reason. You just don't want to open a door for them. So basically, see how the items were picked up through there. This is using this item called a Pneumatic Tube. It's basically just a way of moving items from one place to another. And it's very useful in factory making and stuff like this. So what's going on here is this filter here is the same one that you saw in the floor there, and it picks up items that you threw. There's nothing in it. It's just there to pick the items up as a hopper in regular Minecraft nowadays would. So, and then these pneumatic tubes send it through here. Now, this is basically checking each item. These are your locks. So, due to the fact that the items have to move through the tubes, the first item actually has to go in the farthest slot, so it gets there all about the same time. We have stone cover, we have slime ball and slime ball, and we have red alloy wire and red alloy wire. So basically, this sends it through there into the item detectors. Yes, this pipe must be here, otherwise it just doesn't work. So yeah, and then I just couldn't get it to work with the filter item being in the item detector. I think, it's weird things happen sometimes. So basically what it did, now just the items path goes through here. These restriction tubes say, okay, no item can go there unless all the other inventories are full. The other inventories being just this one over here, which is the chest that everything goes to. And so the item detectors go out. Those are just to prevent like this stone cover from going into this item detector and so on and so forth with the others, because it goes into the closest inventory to the pipe. And yeah, so that makes its way along there, and that's where you get your stuff back. Now to probably, the bones of it. We have this kind of circuit that goes throughout it. This circuit is a toggle latch, which is this block here with a little lever on it. It can be manually switched, but we don't want manual switchage because that would kind of just totally defeat the point of having an automatic combination lock if you could just flip it on and off. So this would just be buried underground. It's above ground for demo purposes. Basically, current comes from here, the item detector. It sends a redstone current when the item goes through it. That redstone current for this circuit, this is the red alloy wires. So the filter says, okay, if it's red alloy wire, it goes through here, through there, and into the item detector and on its merry way. When it goes through there, however, it generates the current which goes to these red alloy wires, which can go up and down walls on ceilings. Very useful. Then it sends one current to this side. You can see there's two inputs and two outputs. One of the inputs is here, one on the other side, and then, the outputs are just these two redstone torches there. One is on, one is off, because it does switches it, not turn on and off. It's effectively off because that signal has nowhere to go. So this current turns it on, allowing signals to go down into that, which I will get to in a moment. And then this signal goes over here through these repeaters to turn it back off after an allotted amount of time, preventing it from, clogging up, and also to actually add the combination lock aspect. Because if it was always on, then you would, you wouldn't, the combination would still exist. You just have to throw in two of every item, and you would also have to, it could just get jammed up really easily, and it wouldn't have the combination order to it either, which, this actually does have. You have to throw it in the right order, otherwise it does not trigger. Now, it's a very similar system, except it only uses one repeater here. Same system, just, only one repeater, and then same over here. So you've probably noticed these signs. Now, these are repeaters. I should probably say that first. These are red power repeaters instead of traditional Minecraft vanilla repeaters that go 1 tick, 2 tick, 3 tick, 4 tick, with a tick being 1/20th of a second. These go 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 16, 64, 128, so you can get a lot longer delays, which is useful in some situations, without having to have the ridiculously long chains of repeaters that you see in Minecraft all the way off into the sunset. So this one, the first combination code, and the last, the the farthest one away from there, has a 4-tick delay. This middle one also has a 4-tick delay, but then this one has a 10-tick delay, 8-tick, 2-tick, total of 10 ticks. It goes through both of them. Now what that does is makes it so that if it is thrown in any order but this order, it will not trigger. So even if you use the right item, so we have the code already exampled. So if we throw it in this way, it will not open the door. You can use a click, click, click if you're listening carefully of the toggle latches turning on and off. That's what those are. And, if you wanted to cover that up, you could easily have some note blocks playing. You could have a farm nearby. I mean, you could even just have a disc track. Anything can really cover up the noise, because it is a very quiet noise if you're not listening out for it. And of course, if we throw it in the complete reverse order, it is not going to work either. Now, that did take some time to work out, so that's why I gave the tick signals, so you wouldn't have to worry about it yourself. Now, on different servers, for instance, they slow down or speed up the tick speed, and that can influence it in different ways. So if you are going on a server with a non-default tick speed, then you might have to tweak the system, and that's just a bit of guess and check. This last combination will be a bit longer, and then these two might be the same, might not be the same, like I said, depending on the server. Now, we've gone through over how, we've showed you how it works. We've gone through the, the main part of the system, like what powers it. Now we get to this part. Now, for those of you who have played tekkit-classic or know red power, this is called an AND gate, for those of you who don't. Basically, an AND gate says if this and this and this are active, then I will activate this. Now, this is what makes this system kind of cool, because it's modular. Now, when you modify it and you make modules, you do have to tweak the timings and such like that if you don't mind. I mean, if you don't mind having to put in the right order, then you don't have to tweak the times. You just have to make the times long enough to get everything in. So you could have like multiple chains of AND gates linking up to more AND gates, or you could even have less. So if you take a red power screwdriver and you just right click any one of the inputs, it disables the input, so it is no longer required for the AND gate to function. Or you could also put some redstone signal going into it from a different location that's always on. Either of those ways would work, and it would reduce the number of inputs needed for the output to 2. It doesn't go lower than 2 because there's no point in having an AND gate for one thing, because that might as well just go straight through it. So yeah, you could do this also with only one thing, and that's still a pretty hefty code to guess because it's one in like 4,000 different options. And if you make it something very expensive, such as a Kleinster Omega, which has somewhere around 75 million EMC, people will not just chuck that in there willy-nilly hoping for it to be the password because of this handy little thing. As I'm sure you noticed, there's more piping than seems to be necessary. It runs through there. Now, so what happens is, any item not in these goes through here via a restriction pipe, which basically just says if it's not there, if it doesn't go here, go there. And so that just leads it into this chest right here, which is where all the excess item goes. So if somebody tries breaking into your vault, you're just going to get a whole lot of free items. So yeah. So yeah, this is a system just like that over there. It works exactly the same way. This just turns the door on and off. And I just put a button here because you don't need to have the password to leave the place. You just need it to enter. If you do want that to happen, you can just easily loop back into the same system with with pneumatic tubes going this way, and then a restriction pipe leading into there. Though you'd have to tweak it a little more. I just didn't see much point, so I didn't play around with it too much. Now, this brings us to the final thing. So say we just want to try and break into my own house. I throw in stone, pneumatic tube, and that, though it didn't throw in for whatever reason. I tried throwing in that, and, well, yeah, fire. Pistons close. Not very happy for whoever's inside. If it could actually give me stone, that'd be nice, but, well. There we go. So basically what happens is these are called igniters. It's crafted with red power mod as well, incidentally. It's a deployer with a few other things. You can look it up in NEI, which is this handy dandy thing. Yeah, you just look it up in the search bar and then use the recipe finder, which is mousing over something and hitting R like that, and I can find how to make wooden stairs. So this brings us to this part of the system, which, as you could probably tell, is not part of this system. So we have another item detector here. Now this part is unnecessary. In fact, you might actually not want it, because it'll tell them if, oh hey, if I got all three things right somehow of the 64 billion different combinations, then it will not trigger this. However, if even one thing is wrong, it will trigger this, so it can also be a bonus. Basically how this works is this signal goes through here. Now, this circuit here actually delays the input into the toggle latch. The reason for this is because this prevents somebody from throwing in more than one wrong item, or a different amount of wrong items, because that can happen. They can get one right item and 2 wrong items, or some combination thereof. And that would cause the system to glitch and either trigger for like half a second or just leave itself on permanently, which you don't really want to come back to either. So basically what this does is it delays the inputs so that really, as long as they're throwing in the combination, as long as they're throwing in a reasonable amount of items, then it'll delay the tick enough so that it is not affected by the, pulses. Like, it'll be a multitude of pulses, and that's kind of like a surge protector, I guess you could say. And that's set on 16 ticks for any sort of, delays that the player might have throwing them in. You could set that longer if you're worried that somebody might take longer than a second to throw them in, but with this system, if they take longer than a second to throw anything in, it's already over anyways. So basically, this over here is the same system. It's, works exactly the same, except it's set to 64 ticks. You could make it as long as you want, of course. And this is basically You subtract that from this to get the total burn time and imprisonment time. And if you're on a server, if somebody's burning, then it'll combat log them, or it'll just keep them moving and preventing them from spawning out. So, and if you have the, if you have a claim protection on that server, then, they can't break out of it. So really only somebody in quantum armor would survive, and then they could only get so many wrong guesses before they would have to, head home and recharge their armor, and take a very, very long time. Even without the trap, it would still take a very long time to break. But basically, this just runs along here. It activates the pistons, activates the igniters, activates that again, and you just have one merry fire trap. Now, if you are planning to do the fire trap, you're going to have to elevate this redstone wire, at least from that point, though you could do it all the way if you wanted to. Um, this activates the door, but if you're not careful, if you do it on ground level, the wires that activate the igniters will also activate that, and vice versa, so you'll have like one solitary fire igniter there, and then it'll light you on fire while you're trying to get in your own door, which would not be nice. But anyways, that is it. If you guys want me to do like kind of a more in-depth tutorial, or if you like the video or anything, just leave a comment down below if you have any advice for me on how to do something differently, maybe make it more coherent, then I'd be happy to hear it. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you had a nice day, and hope you enjoyed the lock video.